here, over yonder. What's going on, y'all? Good morning. Good morning, y'all. What's going on, Morgan? Tap the screen if y'all gonna stick around. Let them know we here. Please share the live. And yeah, and please bring the questions this morning. Bring the dialogue. Bring the what's on your mind. Saraf, good morning, good brother. Good morning, good brother. Yeah, better background than what we're used to. I will say that. A better background than what we woke up to in certain places. Appreciate everybody sharing the live. Tammy, I see everybody tapping the screen. Teresa, what's going on? Everybody. Some of the last couple posts got people thinking right now about the relationships because I'm giving up specific things to think about. Some people I feel like um, maybe. Oh, you can scoot over more. Yep. Some people. Let me scoot that back for you so you ain't got to do all that. There you go. We got you. Some people maybe, I feel like, and there she is. I feel like some people, I don't want to use the word
Good
are in
morning.
denial, but I wonder how aware people are of what they're going to be facing when their loved one comes home. And I think on both ends, a lot of times we're not thinking about that part. People say that they put, or what's the statement? People put more effort into to the wedding than the marriage. And I feel like the same rule applies when you have a loved one coming home from prison, you're in a relationship. You're more excited, not everybody, but more people are excited about the day, planning for the day, the celebration, the cookout, the what we gonna eat, the what you gonna wear, versus
The
my love,
wedding dress.
yeah, versus he's coming home from prison, he needs help. Like that's all we're trying to say right now. That's what I'm trying to say. Raina, we appreciate everybody that's showing love, sharing, liking, subscribing, gifting, joining the team. We got 149 team members, y'all. My husband has been locked down 10 and a half years and comes home in 7 months. I'm terrified to say the least. Mine comes home June 27th. I'm not gonna lie, I'm nervous. A lot of people are nervous. Should they be nervous?
Yeah,
Why should they be nervous?
it's a lot. Mentally, emotionally. Uh, you just have to have an extreme amount of patience. That's what I keep screaming. You have to have an extreme amount of patience. It's not for the weak, and when I say it's not for the weak, it doesn't mean that we're like automatically attacking people saying you're weak. But it is a lot to handle, and mental health has to be prioritized. It is on the top of the list. You need to have counselors nearby. There are going to be some bad days, and that's just the premise. And you want to be ready for that. So I feel like everybody should be prepared in the best possible way. And I can honestly say a mental health care professional is probably the best to go about those things. You normally don't have another couple that you can talk to that is in a similar situation. So it's not like you have friends where you could just go talk about your relationship. This type of relationship is different. So you do need to seek some outside support, outside of moms, dads, friends, because they're not going to be able to tell you what's real. They're not going to be able to tell you something that you can relate to. So you need somebody else. What the comments been saying?
I don't know. I'm gonna randomly scroll today because they always come in quick. So, oh wait, here's another question. What's the most important thing he will need when he comes home?
Support. For Chris, it was more so give him a list. What can he work on? If he's busy, I'm good. I'm content. And I think the same formula we've been able to apply is just going forward. He's a man. He needs stuff to do. He needs to lead. He needs to feel validated. So those are the things we talked about. Even while he was in prison, when I was buying a house. We weren't married yet, but I still wanted him to know about the layout of the tour. I wanted him to know about the process of being approved. Like I did not count him out in any way that I can include him on being a part of the process on the outside. That's where I wanted his focus to be. So it was always about what can we do for the future. It was always talks about the future because his current mind state was in prison. But I wanted him to know, hey, you got something to come forward to. You know what I mean? Something to come home to, and this is what we need to focus on.
A man needs to feel valued, but in the right ways, not for doing things that are wrong or get it, I don't know what the word is. But a man just simply needs to know that he's doing something. That if he's not able to provide. I know for me, when I came home, I didn't have a job right away. Obviously, I was trying right away, but
You
I
got a job the next week though.
yeah, next week. But the first week, I was cleaning, I was moving furniture, I was making sure I was useful at the house. And like she said, with her allowing me to help make decisions, or not even necessarily make the decisions, but at least give some
Be included.
input on the
Insight.
decisions, yeah, some insight. It gave me value and it kept me connected to the outside world prior to me coming home. I think therapy for some of us is ongoing. For me, I've gone on record. I need to keep going. Some people, I think the mental health thing, maybe, hey, 2 years they're home, they're good. But for some of us, it could be long term because we're walking into freedom now, not just with the trauma we endured in prison, but the trauma we endured in childhood. A lot of us are ex-military. A lot of whatever it is. So, like she said, support, support, support. But the key to all of this is like I had to acknowledge what I needed work in, where I needed support at, because she could try to present support to me, but if I don't communicate to her specifically what I need, it's gonna hinder our ability to grow. And that's ongoing. That changes from time to time, even presently when it comes to things I need in terms of support.
I have been thinking about how we will be when he comes home. Those are things that we talked about, and I always talk about this on the lives. We always had a goal list, and implementing that goal list helped us to stay on track when we were trying to build, his legacy. Way before he came home, way before the TikToks, way before any of this, we talked about it. We communicated what we were trying to do, how you could be a voice, how you could just really, really just get in and hone in on that purpose. Our life is all about purpose, so it's nothing is by design. So we just wanted to make sure that we always had that a part of the conversation and being attached to that. I'm sorry, y'all.
Scroll through.
Last layers of beauty with April. How may I assist you? Good morning.
Knowing what you know now, would you date a woman in prison after 17 years? Um,
Yeah, sure. So, have you gone to our website?
with 17 years, I want to make sure I read that right. Um, for me, and this isn't blowing smoke or anything, it would, if it's my wife, yes, without a doubt. But you said a woman, but if it was April, yes, a woman. If I'm being honest, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But for me, it's do I love you? If I love you enough to say I want you as my wife, and I love you enough that I want you to have my last name, and I want to build this future with you, and something goes left, the last thing I'm going to do is abandon you, especially if you didn't do anything specifically to me. I've already been in a situation where individuals have said they love me, and not just relationship, family, whatever. I made a bad decision, but I was never a bad person. And I think that sometimes gets lost. So for me, no, I wouldn't abandon her, and if I had to, but man, I tell her, like, there's a movie with Russell Crowe, I'd be trying to get her up out of that thing. Like, we ain't even talking about that. But yeah, if I look at the relationships, because I'm fortunate enough, my wife is as well. We do independent coaching. We do lifestyle coaching. We do business coaching, and we do relationship coaching. And I would say, hands down, when it comes to those that are incarcerated or justice impacted or people that are in prison, thank you, Becky. I send my man, I appreciate that. I send all my gifters follows on the spot too, y'all. Thank you. But when one of the main things that I feel is like the breakdown in a relationship, it's not even necessarily the obstacles always as much as it's the time where the individual realizes, you know what, it is the wait, but it's ultimately the time that I'm not willing to wait. But if you love someone, there shouldn't be a circumstance, situation, etc., that gets in the way of that. These are just my thoughts, though. Didn't say it would be perfect. I didn't say that, y'all. Appreciate everybody liking the live right now and sharing, subscribing. We got South Africa in the building. Dina Marie said it's a lot to handle because I'm feeling like I'm drowning now. However, I'm not willing to give up. Man, a lot of these relationships, that's the report. K Dot or Drizzy. K Dot, of course. Appreciate that, Alicia. Um, and I want to be clear when you hear me speak about it's not to discourage. Me and my wife are getting ready to celebrate our 5-year wedding anniversary. We've been together since 2017 altogether. And again, we just want you guys to be more equipped than what we were. We hit some really rough patches. Like talk, like real talk, man. Chocolate, appreciate that love right there, Chocolate. We learned some really hard lessons, right? So our job, my job in any situation, circumstance is to tell y'all what's going on. Why? Because I represent y'all. We represent y'all. We care about y'all. So this is a space where literally you can learn, be safe, be educated. There's nothing. It's not no negativity. We try to get them up out of there if they're here, but we know that these relationships and stuff like that occur, and that's why we have to have these tough conversations. That's why somebody's got to be up here and really having dialogue about these things, because these relationships can succeed, but there's a big percentage of them where it feels like the spouse or the loved one on the outside feels like they're drowning because the gentleman, well, not always the guys, but on the inside, mentally they're not well. They're allowing their environment to go through the phone. They're allowing their environment to go into the visitation room, that negativity, you know what I'm saying, in the conversation with them. So that's another reason why we're up here and we're trying to educate. I appreciate everybody showing love, tapping the screen. Let's try to get to a quick 10,000 likes real quick, y'all. We up here live this morning answering questions. I see Houston, Texas in the building. Where's everybody at? And if you're in the part series, let me know what part of the story you on too. Thank you, Sadie. My husband just admitted to me that he was. This is a real one. My husband, Chocolate said, my husband just admitted to me that he was institutionalized. What does that mean for me? Um, I was institutionalized, right? And what that meant for my wife was that I had to become uninstitutionalized. I don't know if that's the correct phrasing. I am a motivational speaker, public speaker, but sometimes I don't know if those are the right words. Edic, I appreciate that 365. But I had to go through a process of not being institutionalized. When you're in a system like that, when you're in a prison, it's a conditioned environment where over and over every day is the same, right? And certain things change due to etc. in that environment, but ultimately everything's the same over and over again. Count times at 5:15 a.m. Count times at 9:30. Count time, whatever it is. Chow time this time. Breakfast time, lunchtime, dinner time. Program call. Da-da-da. Every single day. Every single doors open, doors close, phones come on for everything, y'all. Everything. And imagine being in that environment. And as much as you're trying to fight against it, right? Imagine that's like a river. Prison is a river and it's coming at you. You know what I'm saying? You swimming at first. You strong enough. You could swim against the river at first, year 1, year 2, year 3, but year 4, you start to get tired. And ultimately, as humans, the way we survive is by adapting in order to overcome. That's generally kind of the solution, right? Or the what's applied when we need to go against adversity. So when those of us that are in these environments for long periods of time want to be successful in that environment, whatever that's deemed, we got to live as if we're in that environment, not by every rule. I want to be clear. Just because you see guys running around with knives and attack people and all that, that doesn't mean all of us are like that. Just because you can see guys in there gambling 24/7, that doesn't mean all of us are like that. You know what I'm saying? So you can't stereotype. But what I'm saying is ultimately, no matter who you are, how you move in there, most stand-up guy, whatever, that environment's gonna impact you. It's going to have an effect on you, and it's imperative that the spouse, the loved one, is patient enough to understand that it's not as if he's going to walk through the prison gates and he's going to magically just be shed of all trauma and impact. No, it's the opposite. It's the opposite, because institutionalized, to me, as I continue to speak on it, because this is a good one, chocolate, institutionalized to me, it's not just getting up at 5:15 every morning because you're used to count time. Institutionalized to me is not just eating quick, because for 17 years I was in an environment where in the child hall you had to eat fast and pay attention. You know what I'm saying? Institutionalized also means, what did the trauma that I experienced because of that environment do to me? And oftentimes, when what people think, and this is what I realized, what the loved ones and family members, etc., think, and it's not their fault because you have hope in your heart, is that when we walk out of prison, the weight will become less, and we'll become better, and we'll become healthier, and it'll become instant because we're outside of prison gates. But what happens is, when we walk outside of prison gates, now all the trauma that we faced and were impacted by, we're starting to understand just how jacked up we were, or how hard that hit was that we took, because now we're out of that abnormal environment and we're back into a normal one. So there's this stage I talk about, and you're gonna hear me talk about it a little bit more in the next couple days, where when guys come home, they go through a grieving process. Nobody has talked about this yet. When guys come home and they leave prison, they go through a grieving process. This is their life. If you've been in prison for 10 years, 5 years, 17 years, 12 years, what, this is your life. This is all you knew. And if you've done it and you do it, and I hate to say it, well, you've gained value in that environment. You found brothers in that environment. You know what I'm saying? You might have had a job you might even enjoyed in there. That might sound crazy as heck because you've been in that environment. I enjoyed my job while I was in prison because it was my escape from prison. I was working around counselors and having real conversations and all this. But when I left prison, I didn't have my value anymore. I couldn't go to
Mm-hmm.
my brothers that I was used to seeing every day when my head weren't right and I was trying to figure some things out. I couldn't just call them. You understand what I'm saying? I lost my support system that had got me through a lot of the storm. You know what I'm saying? It gets deeper, but there's a grieving process. There's a lot that goes into actually healing, and institutionalization. Man, it's a process to get out of that process.
So a comment says my boyfriend is incarcerated and I've been with him for 3 years and he has asked me to marry him. Chris asked me to marry him while he was in prison, and we're about to go through a 5 year wedding vow renewal. So every situation is different. Every man is different. I was looking for a
Appreciate that.
particular man
Appreciate that
that
for
had
Pastor.
a strong work ethic. He had a strong work ethic. He showed me that through his day to day. So it wasn't like, and of course, some people be like, oh, yeah, that person could be lying. No, Chris had a very routine schedule. He was up at a certain time of day. He was down by a certain time of day. And he had military background too. So I knew that he was calculated, right? Like he had a routine. For me, I felt like there was no way he was lying. Then I seen him in person. He was physically fit to go off of that premise. So it's not like he just. I'm not, and I'm not saying this. in a negative way, but it wasn't like he,
Appreciate that, addict.
he was lazy or he was lying. He wasn't lying. So I just feel like you just need to fact check. You know what I mean? It would be no different if you were dating somebody in the real world. You gonna see their habits. Are they at work or are they calling you back? You know what I mean? It's just certain things you're gonna be looking at. And I was looking at all these things, and for me, he was showing me that he was the man that he was telling me he was, because he was showing me with his actions, and that was a big deal. Somebody said, I just subscribe. You speaking mad facts. Picasso, what's up? Walking with God makes a difference. Yes, we do walk with Him. Prayer is a big part of our lives. We fast and pray many times behind that wall. And sometimes it would be crazy. I'm not going to lie to you. There were moments that were very hard, there were moments that were easier. But through it all, we remained solid and connected. And we always had goals in mind. And that's why I keep speaking on goals. Like, you got to have goals in mind. You got to have a fact sheet. You got to have something that you're going to measure against. And it's not necessarily always measuring against other relationships.
Appreciate that, K
This is
Slaughter.
not a relationship that you can say, okay, well, these are the comparables. No, it's totally different. It's totally new. And there's not a whole lot of successful prison relationships. So you don't have anything to gauge. The only thing you can gauge are morals and principles.
Yes, nephew.
And that's what we did. I just finished writing my bro, Lost in the System. So sorry. Somebody lost in the system. It's so sad when people get caught up. It's sad when Chris's
Oh,
friends and family call that I seen in one state, like having a conversation with them, getting to know them over the phone, and then you see that they're not doing well. You know what I mean? I've heard that and witnessed that from a lot of people that I've grown to love since I've grown to love Chris. And I'm even affected by those relationships. Like, how such and such doing? What you mean? They done lost it, or uh, what you mean they not doing good? Everybody's not able to push through. Everybody's not able to pull through. So you have to know who you're connected to in these relationships, and it has to show by their actions.
I appreciate everybody liking the live right now too,
Oh, thank
y'all.
you. Somebody's been reading a book. I appreciate that,
Appreciate
Elise,
that, K
Alicia,
Slaughter.
Alicia or Alicia, because I got a student. Her name is
See y'all
Alicia.
on YouTube, man. TikTok. We got
But
72 in
thank
the
you.
rooms.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
My
somebody just
story's
joined the
crazy
team.
too. My story's crazy too. I'm from Detroit, and it has not been easy. I was also just as impacted. I have a father that's doing life in prison. So, and I've been in and out of prisons, visiting rooms since I was 5 years old. So, I'm not stranger to this fact. How long did you wait for him? I waited for him for over 2 years. I waited for Chris over 2 years. We were friends first, so it was totally different.
K Slaughter said, "What's the name of the book?"
The name of the book is called About to, the number two, Lose It, LOSE. About to Lose It. And the pseudonym, or my writing name, is LaShawn Myers. And that's LASHAWN Myers, MYERS. And you're going to see somebody, it's a black book. Somebody on the cover has a straight jacket on. But that's the name of the book. When are you
And
doing
her
part
and her
two?
TikTok is April.Willars. We
Yeah.
trying to get her to 1,000 so she can go live, and because I need a backup account in case I don't know, because it gets crazy sometimes over here.
When are you doing part two? I'm invested. I want to know what happened to your cousin. They want to know, what happened to your cousin.
Part two, we're on part 42, basically. So there's a playlist on top of my page, How I Got
Yeah.
144 Years. Just hit that. We are on part 42, more parts to come. And then after this series is over, we got Life After Prison. Yeah. And then we get up here for Love versus Prison. Then we got a podcast. Make sure y'all hit that link in my bio, the IG sign, and follow me on IG and YouTube. Hit the notification. We filming for the what is it podcast next week. We got two going on simultaneous. We got a lot of stuff going on, y'all. But we are on part 42,
And
y'all.
yes, Alicia, thank you. I pay attention because my students, they're very specific, and they be on me, and I'm a stickler about names. Let's see
Appreciate
what
everybody
else we got
following the
going on. I'm
live.
sorry, y'all. I had to take calls. You know, the phone is still ringing for the school.
There
Um,
is no days off.
is your husband home now? Somebody asked.
She
I
was
did.
asking somebody else in the chat.
Oh, okay. You are very humble and knowledgeable. I'm pretty sure that's for you. We appreciate your informational sessions.
Appreciate that, Cookie. And if anybody wants to get in direct contact, the link is in the bio. It's a job form. You can leave your email, etc., and why you want to connect. Do offer coaching services, etc.
I'm sorry, y'all. I wanted to really pin that comment because that is so important. I keep saying it's best marriages started as friends. Okay, this is funny to me. Chris, I know he probably don't agree from this standpoint, but
What happened?
I we about to see. I really wanted us to be friends. Chris wanted to get in a relationship day 3. Do you disagree?
I'm not gonna say I want to get in a relationship day 3. I just wanted her to be mine day 3.
Okay.
I'm just being honest. Like I was tired. I had just got out of one, so it's like I
But
wasn't
that's what was so confusing to me because I think because you had just got out of one, so
because I had just got out of one, but I didn't expect to run into you, and then I didn't want to not stay connected
hmm.
when I knew that you know what I'm saying. I wanted possibly for you to build something long term with.
So I said that to say this. Um, Chris could be very pushy, okay? And
Assertive.
assertive, passionate, whatever you want to call it, behind that wall. And for me, it was making it very, very clear. I had to put my foot down, I feel like very, very early. Like early. Like I had to, when he threw it out there, I had to just kind of combat it immediately. Because he was that guy. And he was, I don't want to say it in a bad way, but he was the prison guy. So his mentality, I felt like he's full of testosterone. He's very assertive. He's very passionate. He could sometimes get very aggressive. And I wanted him to understand that you may be all of that, but I am all of this. And it has to be a balance and it has to be a give and take. And I was very, very clear. We need to be friends. I need to know that you are my best friend first before we can actually call it a relationship. And to me, like when I first met Chris, I felt like he was still kind of coming from that 19-year-old mentality. He was locked up at 19. So this is not just a passing a letter across the classroom desk talking about, will you go with me? Yes or no, maybe. You know what I mean? It was not that. And you're asking me to really commit. Like you're asking me, you want me to be your girlfriend. Like that's a big deal. We across state lines. You want me to commit to you, and I felt like at that time he had nothing to offer. I was 36 at the time. So it was just a lot of different things that I was paying attention to. And I wanted to pay attention to it very early on because, yeah, it did turn out right, but I felt like I didn't want to get gamed. I did not go into it. I heard about Chris 1 year before I even met Chris. And when I heard about him, I was like, oh, I ain't doing no pen pals. Don't even talk to me about him. Like it's just not happening. A year later, yes, it happened, but um I did not go in with that mindset. Like I did not feel like I had a spirit of desperation, so to speak. And I would tell people about it and I felt like they felt like I was just desperate. Like that was the only man I could get with somebody that was locked up. And it wasn't the case. I was being careful. I was being fair. I felt like I was being strategic. I felt like I wasn't wasting my time dating people and spending money on casual conversation that wasn't getting me anywhere. I was not spending money in my gas tank. The only thing that I was doing was literally putting money on the phone. And for me, that was a cheaper risk than dating somebody, being lied to, going back and forth, meeting other people, outside people. Like it for me,
That's
it was a
real though.
safe. No, it was a
I
safer
ain't think
bet for
about it like that.
me. It was a safer bet for me. So I felt like it was worth the risk. But everybody's not worth the risk. You know what I mean? And that's why I tell people, some people will be like, well, would you recommend this to anybody else or would you do it again? I would do it again because of Chris. Do I recommend this for anybody else to get married to somebody behind the wall? Not necessarily. We were in two different states. So that's why I jumped the gun and I was willing to take the risk. But at the same time, we were both in a place where we could walk away. We had no children together. We still don't have no kids. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is, we were in a position where if it did not end well, we would still be okay. And that's what I wanted for the both of us. He had done 17 years in prison. He still deserved a life. Me, yes, I had waited for, 2, almost 3 years. I still deserved
Jay
it.
Nice, appreciate
Hey,
that.
I still deserved it. You know what I mean? A way out. So I felt like we needed to be fair for each other. And for me, that was the fairness. If it didn't work, we were still in a position to move on, go on, and still either be friends or not be together. And he was still good and I was still good. The only thing that I said literally that I invested as far as money was the money for the drives.
Lexi Renee, what's
Hey,
good?
the money for the drives as far as the visits and the money on the phone. Chris was very adamant. He told me, do not put money on his books. I did not put money on his books. He got a secure pack, once a year?
Because I was hustling. No, I'm just playing. I was
He
gambling. No, I'm just playing.
he got, I think,
No, I'm just playing.
every like November we did like a secure pack because it was
Oh
like
yeah,
around
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Christmas.
yeah, for sure.
Outside of
And you
that,
saved my
and the
the TV.
TV once.
I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I was gonna have nerves breakdown. Y'all call
Oh
me a
my
baby.
God.
Y'all
I
could do
can't
all
wait till we
that.
get to that part of
You
the
could do all
series.
that. That's cool.
We went through the TV thing for about 6 to 8 months. It was long, grievous. It was horrible. And it's just a TV, but
I had
it's a
no pe-
whole series
I had
behind
no
that damn
peace of
TV.
mind,
I tell you
y'all.
that.
It's
It
hard
was
in the
hard.
dorm. It's hard in the dorm environment. There's no
Oh my
escape.
God. You know what I mean? And when you're bidding with somebody, it's like you're in there with them. You know what I mean? It's a lot. You gotta hit that phone. Like that phone was attached to my hip, and I'm not a phone
Appreciate
person.
that, Paulina.
Thank you. I'm not a phone person. So I hated to have that phone attached to my hip. I didn't want the phone attached to me, for work. Let alone for a relationship. You already feel, weight of having another person. You know what I mean? And not in a bad way, but I'm just saying there's extra responsibilities that come with that. I didn't want that.
What's the top three things that annoyed you the most about dating me while I was in prison?
Phone, that was the top.
She hate the phone to this day.
Yeah, still.
Can I say this too?
Yeah.
We got because listen,
And I've only got through one.
I gotta speak on this part really quick because you just brought that up,
Mm-hmm.
y'all. To my ladies out there, when your man comes home, in the most polite way, I'm gonna say this: don't be a warden, don't be a correctional officer. Some of my brothers, and I say I don't care, they gonna have to fuss me out when we go out. Which, and keep in mind, I don't
He
go
ain't
out no
talking about
more.
me too, by the way. So I
Oh
don't want y'all
yeah.
thinking
Oh
it's
no, I'm about to
me.
break this down.
Yeah, break it down.
Yeah, I don't go out no more because I'm getting older. See these more of these. I'm tired now. But when I do every now and I go out with some of my brothers, their significant others FaceTime them 46 times in a row,
Ain't gonna do it.
and they be
Ain't
stressed
gonna
out.
do it.
They can't live. You know what I'm saying? If you're with somebody, what either you trust them or you don't. It can't be because he's home from prison. I got to call him 50 times in a row. Either you trust him or you don't. Because whether the man been to prison or on the moon, he either gonna be right by you or he not. And there's not an amount of phone calls, FaceTimes, emails, drive-by pull-ups that's gonna stop him or anybody else from doing what they want to do. So
They gonna do it
they
regardless.
gonna
I'm
do
not
that.
doing that. I
And
can't.
but I got to say that because some of y'all, respectfully, y'all gonna be wardens and COs, and then y'all gonna be stressing the man out, right? And then guess what's gonna happen? he gonna want to get away from the prison. Don't
Peace, peace.
don't let that go over your head. One thing I love about my wife, if I decide to go out tomorrow, she gonna say, "All right, love you,
I'm
be
gonna be
safe,"
sleep.
and she might be asleep.
I don't
Okay,
care.
and then I'm gonna be home.
And it's for me. It's not like I don't care. Okay, because I'm a woman, so I already know what everybody thinking. So one of the things, you see, my husband's very attractive man, fine man. If he gonna do something, he gonna do it anyway. I'm not going to try to
Her page is
block it
April.Willars.
or sabotage or infiltrate or get in the way of. If he gonna do something, he gonna do it anyway. I'm just at a point in my life I can't. I'm not gonna try to police him. I'm not the police. Nigga, I ain't sorry.
Whoa.
I'm not. I'm just not the police. I'm not going to police him. I love him, but I'm not going to police him. And if he decides that he wants to do something, it's going to be because he made that decision to do it. And I'm going to have to decide after he makes that decision whether or not I still want to be with him. Cheating has never been a problem for me and Chris. I'm just going to be honest. Our other problems are, it's not that. Infidelity is not what we deal with. We deal with issues, but it's not that. But even if it was, that's something that I would have to deal with it when I got there. You know what I mean? Like once I got there. It's not something that I'm anticipating and I'm already trying to sabotage him just because of what he looks like or because I know that he was locked up for a certain amount of years. I'm just automatically assuming the man gonna go crazy. He ain't gonna just go crazy. It's not about that. A man wants to feel comfortable. And I just feel like when these men get out of prison, I think that's the first thing that people think about, and it's not what they're thinking about. They want to be comfortable. Chris is very clingy. You see how he just pulled me over here? I'm always, that's what he does. I'm attached to him. Like literally, I'm attached
I
to
have
him.
social anxiety issues.
He has social, no, seriously, he has social anxiety issues. And I'm right
Only
here.
sometimes.
Only sometimes, and most of our closest people know that for the both of
And just
us.
so you know, right now, what I'm sure there's like a range or somewhere. I just started paying attention to the weapon shots that are being let off. So it just like caused, if y'all could hear that, caused my anxiety to go up. So that was weird. But
Yeah.
anyways,
So they're it's just we in a country, so it's just what they do. But yeah, hey, what's up, Canada? But the first thing that annoys me from the prison, because we only got to one thing. The first thing was the phone. The second thing was I did not have the ability to call him back. So if he hung up that phone on me,
the neighbors.
if he hung up that phone on me, I couldn't call back and hang and say what I wanted to say and hang up on him. Like for me, that was a big deal. Cause I couldn't get and let off what I want to let off. He want to let off his shots, boom, boom, boom. I couldn't recounter and say, yo, let me call you and say what I couldn't do that. So I felt like in that way he had an advantage when it was more one sided. However, I had a choice. Do I want to pick up the phone when he called back? And I knew how to kind of go off that, so to speak. So I don't know. It's just real. It's just real life situations. It's real relationship stuff. Um, it can get very petty, but it is part of the experience. But if you can make it past that, you can make it past anything.
Jody R, we appreciate that. All the gifters, I do try to follow right back. If I miss y'all, just message me.
Hey yo, say that part. Nah, I am saying crazy shit in the messages. That's when I get it happens. It would be no different. You're gonna have those type of relationships on the outside for real.
Man,
And I feel like because we were able to master things like, and I'm not even saying master,
I used to be stressed out too, y'all.
but we worked on the communication part first. There was no sex involved. So emotionally, all of the emotions that we were feeling were raw emotions without sex involved. So I felt like that was a great foundation for us. And that's something you can't get out here. You know what I mean? So for me, I knew that our feelings were real. It was really valid. We were make
Appreciate that,
were
Jody.
we were able to make the choice to go past that threshold, even before knowing any of the extra. When it came, to our bodies and making love or any of that stuff. So I for me, it's a little bit different, and it's kind of like, yo, we can take this serious because we're willing to do this. Yes, the communication got to be solid. Yeah, communication got to be solid. If y'all can't talk, if for real, if y'all can talk and you can't talk about anything, it's not going to work. And we talked about everything. Me and Chris had goals established in 2019 for 2020. Now, mind you, it's thank y'all. It's the pandemic. You know what I mean? Like, we fighting through the pandemic. You know what I mean? We got to learn how to get along when with each other, and you can't get along with nobody in the world. Remember, everybody's closed in. Now we really got to tackle issues because everything's coming to the light. You will see, like, literally, there is nobody. There is no go outside. There is no you can go. Just hey, you can have a night out. Ain't no I can just go to the strip club and decompress. No, no, no. You in the house with that person. So we had to, I feel like, really go through stuff head on. And that's just what it was. Um, Couple things. Let me see. I'm working on my responses. Yes, we have family visit for 7 months. That's how you can heal. Oh man. I'm still working on my responses. One of the things that I learned in therapy, that the therapist specifically told me was my faces, because I can hit you with the, you know what I mean? It's just different things. So I have to work on my responses. The therapist told me, April, you did wrong. You know what I mean? You might not say nothing, but your relation, your responses say something totally different in the relationship. So that's something that I had to work on, and still working on. The communication part is the perfect foundation for a relationship as long as it's done right. Totally agree. That's why we've been able to be so successful. Shout out to my man. Yeah, Chris is everything. I love Chris. Obviously, I mean, he's my husband, but everybody don't love who they with. No, I really love who I'm with. He's awesome. Um, my wife and I waited about 2 months dating before we even got intimate. Knew her after I came home. Yeah. It just, I'm telling y'all, it makes a difference. And at the time in my life when I met Chris, I wasn't dating anybody. I was in school. I was homeless. I was laying on my mom's couch, because I was stacking money because I wanted to buy a property. I said, Mom, I'm not moving from this couch until I can buy a house. I started dating Chris at the time. I talked to him. Let me get your credit score together while I'm getting my credit score together in order to buy this home. He trusted me enough. I said, let me do this. Authorized user, sent it to me. He's good. Now he's building credit during that 2 years. He came home. When I met him, he had a 0 credit score. When he came home, he had a 700 credit score. So again, these are things, that we do in order to help each other with the relationship. Hold on, y'all. I know I'm working 2 phones.